This proud state would not exist if not for a handful of determined and defiant Texans who refused to surrender their rights nearly 2 centuries ago. Right? You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. In 1835, soldiers from General Santa Anna's army marched into the little Texas town of Gonzales and ordered those settlers to surrender their small cannon they relied on to protect their lives and protect their homes. The Texans refused. You refused. You're tough. That's right. They were not about to give up their only means of self-defense. In response, Santa Anna's army returned with a large group of additional people. They had men all over the place. The army was big. This time they were met by dozens of Texans, settlers, soldiers, and ordinary citizens who had rushed to Gonzales to defend their rights and their freedom. As Santa Anna's men watched from a distance, those brave Texans raised a flag for all to see. And you know what it said. On the banner, they painted a cannon along with 4 words that echoed through the ages. And you know what it is? It said, "Come and take it. Come and take it."
Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. We got some new Q posts for you, and I'm going to get right to them here. If you do not want to hear me read them first, skip straight to the analysis. Just click on the timestamp below. Okay, 59 minutes past the hour of 2 p.m. Post 1311. Q says trip update. 1 minute past the hour of 3 p.m. We have trip confirmed. Post 1312. Trip confirmed. Then we have 2 minutes past the hour of 3 p.m. Post 1313. Looks like a new board. Patriots fight Q. 46 minutes past the hour of 3 p.m. Post 1314. We have a picture of a cannon. Q says future comms in brackets. Pre_stage. Ellie_Y. Pre_stage. Sec_Y. Pre_stage. dir_y, pre_stage, cap_y. Then we have on ready in brackets Q. 40 minutes past the hour of 6 p.m. Post 1315. This is in reference to a Donald Trump tweet that says a rigged system. They don't want to turn over documents to Congress. What are they afraid of? Why so much redacting? Why such unequal justice? At some point, I will have no choice but to use the powers granted to the presidency and get involved. And 47 minutes past the hour of 8 p.m. Post 1316, referring to this post from back April 27th. I'll let you look at it there for a second. And then Q continues on, updated in brackets. James Baker, fired, reported today. Resigned, false, in brackets with, it looks like an extra bracket there. Removed, January, fired, April 21st. Lisa Page, fired, reported today. Resigned, false, another double brackets there. Testimony received, tracking_Y. Then we have added in brackets. Mike Corton, FBI Assistant Director for Public Affairs, fired, cooperating under resigned title in brackets. Josh Campbell, Special Assistant to James Comey, fired, DOJ in brackets. David Loffman, Chief of the Justice Department's Counterintelligence and Export Control Section, National Security HRC Email Investment in brackets, fired/force. John Carlin, Assistant Attorney General, Head of DOJ's National Security Division, fired, force. Sally Yates, Deputy Attorney General and Acting Attorney General, fired. Mary McCord, Acting Assistant Attorney General, Acting Head of DOJ's National Security Division, fired, force. Bruce Orr, Associate Deputy Attorney General, demoted 2 times, cooperating witness, power removed in brackets. Rachel Brand, Associate Attorney General, number 3 official behind Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, fired, forced. Cross against House/Senate resignations/final term announcements plus CEO departures. Conspiracy, fake news, the swamp is being drained, trust the plan, justice, Q. 37 minutes past the hour of 9 p.m. Post 1317. We are brought back to this post here from, looks like, January 25th. Confirmed, and it'll link to Fox News. Why did Hussein travel ahead of POTUS? Trump would not be in office for long, suggesting he could be out in a year. Reread crumbs. Future unlocks past. Q adds on. Reread drops today. JK and Iran, I'm assuming that's John Kerry. Important context for future news. Why is Hussein John Kerry traveling worldwide and meeting with foreign heads of state, some enemies of the U.S.? HRC/BC flying under the radar, same/unreported. Why? Two former presidents, Secretary of States, out of power/authority, racing around the world pre-post POTUS. Why? Unprecedented. The world is connected. The world is watching. Q. Okay, let's take you back to the beginning here. 59 minutes past the hour of 2 p.m. Q is going to update the trip code. That's what that means. Post 1311, post 1312, just 2 minutes later. At 1 minute past the hour of 3 p.m., trip code confirmed. Q, we've got a new trip code there. And then a minute later, Q posts this, Patriots fight Q. Okay, now Patriots fight is going to take you to this new 8chan board. And this looks like a read-only board here from 8chan called, incidentally, Patriots Fight. For those of you who have been following Q, you kind of get how this works. But if you're new to this, we started a long time ago on I guess it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it, on 4chan with the the calm before the storm. And that moved over to 8chan and became the Great Awakening. And I think it was supposed to stay that way. Now, it got hacked a lot and we had to kind of use a different one. And that's what was being used. But now we have sort of this third phase. And this is Patriots Fight. And Patriots Fight is very, very apropos, if you will. So we've got this new board, a new stage. If I can take you back to post 1296. On April 29th, remember, Q said the hard part is coming to an end. The next phase will bring justice. Okay, so this is the phase that is going to bring justice, the phase of justice, and particularly probably the Justice Department. Okay, so let's take you back. Now we've got this new board. We've got some new posts, a new phase. And just so you know, for anybody who's questioning any of the continuity, my QAnon.pub board shows this as May 4th post, but over here it shows it as May 5th. I am hours ahead of you, and by the time you watch this will be May 5th, but just so you know, in case you see any inconsistencies. But I'm going to stay on this board because of the key searches. All right, so new board, new phase. Wow, sounds kind of nice, huh? What else is new? Well, let's take you over to the NSA Twitter. We got something new. We got a new NSA director. I'm going to blow this up here if I can. Yeah, hopefully you can read that better. Today, NSA Director General Paul Nakasone officially assumed command of U.S. Cyber Command and NSA/CSS. Read about today's ceremonies here, okay? So there's the ceremony. Congratulations. And, of course, a thank you to Admiral Rogers for your strong leadership in the past 4 years. Fair winds and following seas. Folks, that is the picture of a patriot right there, all right? And, of course, here is General Paul Nakasone. Welcome. As our new agency director. Hooah, sir. Very good, very good. So, I also wanted to point your attention to this. So, today's USCC and change of command and directorship ceremony is live, so you could have watched it, I suppose. And here's the new center that they're showing. Today, NSA and USCC showcase the brand new integrated cyber center at Fort Meade. The 24/7 Worldwide Cyberwatch Center will support partners like Department of Defense and ODNI Gov, enabling real-time comprehensive intelligence reporting capabilities. Okay, so there's the brand spanking new Command Center. But this is what I wanted to talk about. Today also marks the elevation of U.S. Cyber Command to the nation's 10th Combatant Command. Okay, without going into big detail, basically what that means, the elevation basically means it's consolidated. Okay, so Cybercom basically is... it's basically elevated to like Stratcom, if you know what Stratcom is. So now that means it consolidates the unit, essentially meaning that Nakasone is he's been part of a very important group. It's been elevated, but now he will be reporting to James Mattis. Okay, so there you have it. So lots of new things here, and Q is signifying it here with a cannon fire. Interesting indeed. We have all this new stuff going on, and we got a cannon. Well, if you watch the beginning of my video, You would have seen part of Trump's speech where he talks about the Cannon story. This is the Gonzales Cannon. I'm not exactly sure that that's not the actual Cannon, but maybe that is just sort of signifying maybe this is sort of a first shot for the new justice period. And if you remember the story that Trump told about the Gonzales Cannon, the story involved not just outnumbered military unit, but civilians, okay? Remember, Patriots fight. So Q says, future comms, pre-stage, EL_Y, pre-stage, sec _Y, pre-stage, direct _Y, pre-stage, and then I don't know what CAP is. So there's some different thoughts here. Some people think this is referring to the elections. Could it be that the future comms coming into this board are now on and ready? On ready sounds like some JavaScript action there. I've had to use that before, sometimes using JavaScript, something kind of like that. So I'm not sure if that's what that means, but maybe that since we're in this new justice period, maybe this is part of what the directives are going to be. Pre-stage, election, who could be security. I'm not exactly sure. There were some people that thought that this might refer to the Secretary of State and that this might refer to the director of the FBI, maybe James Comey. Will he be seeing justice? Not sure. And then I saw a lot of conflicting views about CAP, but most people thought they were talking about election and particularly election security, which is obviously very, very important, especially in Texas. Let me take you over here. This is off of April 28th, 2018, off of Fox News. Court upholds Texas law in another big voter ID ruling. Texas voter ID law that was twice blocked over findings of discrimination can stay in effect for the 2018 elections, a U.S. appeals court ruled Friday. It was the second major ruling over voters' rights in the U.S. this week after an Arkansas judge on Thursday blocked that state's voter ID measure as unconstitutional. But in a 2-1 decision by the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans, the Texas law that critics have slammed as one of the toughest voter ID measures in the nation was seen as a suitable replacement for the original 2011 law that a federal judge had likened to a poll tax on minority voters. The biggest change to the Texas law, which accepts handgun licenses as sufficient identification to vote, but not college student IDs, is that voters without any acceptable photo ID can still cast a ballot so long as they sign an affidavit. Opponents and a federal judge in Texas balked at the revisions, saying criminal penalties tied to lying on the affidavit could have a chilling effect on voters. The biggest change to the Texas law is that voters without any acceptable photo ID can still cast a ballot so long as they sign an affidavit. U.S. Circuit Edith Jones said the lower court went too far. Is that correct? U.S. Circuit Edith Jones? Okay. The district court relied too heavily on evidence of Texas state-sponsored discrimination from a bygone era, Jones wrote in her majority opinion. The revisions to Texas law were also supported by the U.S. Justice Department, a move that amounted to a complete reversal for the federal government, which under former President Barack Obama had joined minority rights groups in suing over the law. But 2 months after Donald Trump took office, the Justice Department abandoned the argument that Texas passed voter ID rules with discrimination in mind and said the changes should satisfy the courts. Opponents bristled at the ruling, but didn't immediately indicate their next step. Yeah, that's pretty typical, isn't it? We continue to firmly believe that the Texas photo ID law is one of the most discriminatory and restrictive measures of its kind, said Kristen Clark, president of the Washington-based Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, one of the groups involved in the lawsuit. Texas first passed the voter ID law in 2011. The same year, the GOP-controlled legislature adopted voting maps that were also struck down as discriminatory. Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton said Friday's ruling removes any burden on voters who cannot obtain a photo ID. The law was twice shot down by U.S. District Judge Nelva Gonzalez Ramos, an appointee of then-President George W. Bush, who ruled that the strict requirements disadvantaged minorities and effectively dampened the electoral power of Texas's surging Hispanic population. Wonder why your population is surging. She also disapproved of the modified version, Modified version would no longer be a virgin, I suppose, which makes knowingly lying on the affidavit to vote a misdemeanor. Now, this is the kicker, folks. Democrats said that provision could keep people home on election day over fears of incorrectly filling out a form. I'm going to read that one more time. Let me rewind. You know what the Democrats said that provision could keep people home on election day over fears of incorrectly filling out a form. Okay. Well, if you can speak basic English and you can read Now, I understand some people can't read. And that's fair enough. But filling out a form is something that probably should be taught in schools. Along with just learning how to not act like a knucklehead. But that's what they're afraid of. Okay, so this is Texas, and currently President Trump is in Texas. So is that what we're talking about? Are we talking about election security? Right? Or excuse me, yeah, election security? Don't know what this is. Don't know if they're talking about what they're talking about as far as direct or whatever. Now the CAP, a lot of people were talking about maybe is it capital punishment? Capital crimes. I'm not really sure. But in my searches, I do remember this group. And let me just take you over here. This is a PDF, and I'll leave it below, called the Center for American Progress, otherwise known as CAP. And they happen to deal with election security in all 50 states. They did a report back in 2016. I'm going to read you just a little bit of this introduction here. In 2016, America's elections were targeted by a foreign nation state intent on infiltrating and manipulating our electoral system. On September 22, 2017, it was reported that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security notified 21 states that they were targeted by hackers during the 2016 election. Among those states notified by DHS were Alabama, Alaska, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Illinois, Maryland, Minnesota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, North Dakota, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Washington. Arizona, California, Iowa, Texas, and Wisconsin were also among those states originally contacted by DHS. However, those states have denied that their election systems were attacked. Ultimately, hackers only reportedly succeeded in breaching the voter registration system of one state, Illinois. And while DHS did not name those responsible for the attempted hacks, many believe the culprits can be traced back to Russia. Experts have warned that a future attack on our election infrastructure by Russia or any other malicious actors is all but guaranteed. Okay, well, we know it wasn't Russia, do we? But I think that's probably a safe thing to say in this article. And let me take you down here to just one particular thing that I noticed. It goes on to say, and it's a very long document, as you can see, and I'm going to scroll fast here. You can see how fast it's going. I'm taking down to page 28. There is actually there's a lot of sections here where they're calling for some sort of paper trail balloting, which is what I think most people want if they want to have any kind of secure elections. You need some sort of paper trail. Then it takes you down here, and I'm sorry I can't blow this up for you, but this is state by state where I'm hovering here. These are all the states, and these are sort of their ratings. And as you can see, there's tons of unsatisfactories, fair at best. You have very few goods. And we should have a ton of goods, maybe a few fairs here and there, an occasional unsatisfactory, I guess, if something doesn't go wrong. But look, the grades C, B, D, F, C, B, B, D, B, F. Is that an F sharp? What, are we playing music? Oh, it's an asterisk. C, C, C. Okay, so you can see that we got a lot of C's. Here's the other stories. Okay, so B's and D's and F's. Some people are getting F's. Wow. So this is how they rated their security in the 2016 elections, and we already knew that. Okay, so there was a ton of mess there. So I'll leave this for you. As I said, it's a 245 page document. So, but there you have it, and you can kind of play with that if you want to look around. But I'm not sure if that helps or not. At the end of the day, I don't really know what this means yet. I just don't. But I'm going to guess that it maybe has to do with our future comms that we're online and ready. This new page is all set up to go. And I'm going to assume that whatever this justice phase is, it maybe could involve this pre-stage of this, and this. Just a guess. All right. Let's move on here. Takes you to this next tweet, 40 minutes past the hour of 6 p.m. And let me take you to this blown up here. President Trump says, a rigged system. They don't want to turn over documents to Congress. Yeah, the memos. They don't want to turn around the text. They don't want to turn over anything. What are they afraid of? Well, they're afraid of getting busted. That's what they're afraid of. Why so much redacting? Why such unequal justice? Well, they've redacted everything they wanted to say because it might have involved trying to kill you, President Trump. At some point, I will have no choice but to use the powers granted to the presidency and get involved. Yes, clearly the president is letting this all play out. And of course, with the addition of Rudy Giuliani, who came onto the team saying that this was going to be wrapped up and done pretty soon, didn't see why. Then he comes out on Hannity and sort of drops this supposed bombshell about Stormy Daniels. I would liken it, folks, to throwing some bread at if you've got a bird in the park and you toss one you toss some bread to the bird, you're going to get a flock of birds, right? Well, that's how it is with the mainstream media and Donald Trump tweets, right? So I think that could be very well what's going on. Rudy Giuliani seems a lot smarter than that, and seems like almost too stupid of a thing to say without having, a particular reason to. And obviously President Trump doesn't seem too concerned, but clearly a rigged system, and they're redacting everything because everything needs to be redacted. I think we've got it all anyway. Let's move on. 47 minutes past the hour of 8 p.m. Post 1316. It takes you back to 427, a post from there. And this is all, again, Department of Justice. This is where all the people that were let go. Okay, I don't want to rehash all these. Most of you know, but I will highlight you to Lisa Page and Peter Strzok. Okay, who at the point back in 427, you can go back to my video from that date if you want to see it, where we talk about this. But Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, as of this day, power was removed, and it said that they were cooperating witnesses. So now we're updating, okay? And we've got James Baker. Well, who was James Baker? Remember James Baker? He was one of the guys that Comey leaked to, and I'm not going to go through this whole Business Insider article here, but there's parts where Comey told former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, his Chief of Staff James Rybicki, and FBI General Counsel James Baker about his conversations with Trump. So there were the three guys that Comey leaked to. Okay, so obviously we know McCabe was fired. All right, and then it says here, Rybicki resigned from the FBI in late January to accept a job in the corporate sector. All right, well, I'm going to play Maury Povich here. James Rybicki, our results are in, and it says you were fired. All right, let's go back. Talk about Baker. Meanwhile, was a close friend and longtime associate of Comey's, and his reassignment within the Bureau in December was not entirely unexpected. Well, we've got the results, and that's not entirely true. Q says you were fired in March 21st. Oh, excuse me, January. They're saying that he was fired. I'm not really exactly sure what that means. Okay, I see. Saying that the removed January, fired as of April. Okay. Lisa Page, fired. So that's an update. All right. Back here, it said Lisa Page was cooperating. Now it looks like she's been fired as well. Testimony received, so she's given her testimony. And then we have this tracking dash Y or underscore Y, kind of like we do over here. So I'm not really sure if that's a yes. I'm assuming maybe that the Y means a yes, maybe that they're tracking. Or if you're under the theory here that the director of the director of the FBI, James Comey, maybe that has something to do. Maybe they're tracking any sort of contact that might be happening there. But either way, it sounds like they're just tracking Lisa Page. I'm not really sure. Okay, so now we have some updates. Mike Corton, FBI Assistant Director for Public Affairs, fired. Cooperating under resign title. Okay, so if you look him up, you're going to see that he resigned. Josh Campbell, Special Assistant to James Comey, fired. Department of Justice. David Loffman, Chief of the Justice Department's Counterintelligence and Export Control Section. Looks like he is going to be investigated in the Hillary Rodham Clinton emails, and he's been fired and forced out. John Carlin, Assistant Attorney General, Head of DOJ's National Security Division, fired, forced out. Sally Yates, remember, she didn't want to give in when it came in. Let me take you over there real quick. Remember the travel ban. Okay, this is off The Guardian. I'll leave this for you, but she was already fired. She was fired a while ago. Mary McCord, Acting Assistant Attorney General, Acting Head of DOJ's National Security Division, fired. And then we have Bruce Orr, and he was wrapped up with the GPS stuff. Remember? Wrong link. DOJ official Bruce Orr hid wife's Fusion GPS payments from ethics officials. Bruce Orr, the Department of Justice official who brought opposition research on President Donald Trump to the FBI, did not disclose that Fusion GPS, which performed that research at the Democratic National Committee's behest, was paying his wife, and did not obtain a conflict of interest waiver from his superiors at the Justice Department. Okay, so according to Q, he's been demoted twice. According to the article, he's been demoted once, but according to here, he's been demoted twice. His power has been removed, and he's now a cooperating witness. So there's another, I guess, kind of a leaker if you think about it. Rachel Brand, Associate Attorney General, number 3 official behind Deputy AG Rod Rowe, fired and forced. cross against House/Senate resignations final term. Okay, so yeah, think about the all the guys that are resigning. We got No Name, he's not going to come back. Paul Ryan, he's not coming back. Lots of resignations, lots of people stepping down, and then it talks about plus CEO departures. Okay, so real quickly, let me just take you here. I'm going to type in the keyword resignations, and I want to take you down. We're not going to read all of them, but I want to read a few. And particularly, it starts off in December 21st, and Q says to track CEO resignations. Okay, well, Eric Schmidt, we've got Planned Parenthood. I mean, you name it. There were so many CEOs. Papa John stepped down. Geez, when Papa John steps down, you know the world's going to hell. All right, so tons of CEO resignations. I'm sorry I don't have a list for you to draw up right now. But you know it's been record numbers, and it's just been coming and coming and coming. So I think Q is trying to basically say this is all the stuff that's really, really going on. Let me take you to this one from February 7th, post 693. Q again says, make sure the list of resignations remains updated. Important. When does Big Pharma make money? Curing or containing? Exactly, containing. We've talked a lot about Big Pharma, right? And all these DNA companies and their relations to these technology companies, cancer, AIDS, etc. Mine will be blown by chain of command. Okay. Now let's take you to February 11th, post 720. Do people believe all recent resignations, plane crashes, plane reroutes, that's EMS would be, I would imagine, emergency medical service and emergency broadcast system activations, blackouts, etc., are simply a coincidence? Of course we don't. Why did Sessions at the beginning emphasize investigations, proceedings are kept confidential? Think magic. What you see, yeah, now you see, now you don't. It's all sleight of hand, okay? So while everyone's talking about these, while the birds are flocking towards the breadcrumbs of Stormy Daniels, Jeff Sessions is left kind of unimpeded. Now, obviously, he's being ridiculed, but remember, Q keeps saying trust Sessions. Okay, so you see what's going on, right? Let's take you back to the original post. And we've got all these new, and of course, Q's basically just giving us a rap sheet, okay, letting us know that everybody's been stepping down. Is that a conspiracy? No, it's not a conspiracy. Fake news? Well, fake news isn't really reporting all this kind of stuff. They're just reporting about Stormy Daniels, all right, and whatever they can do to bring Trump down. And this is all falling apart. Even the judge just slammed Robert Mueller. I think he even used the words, "Come on, man." The swamp is being drained, and I think that Q is seeing the frustration. And I'm seeing it too. I see it in the comment sections. I know you guys want to see perp walks. I do too. Believe me, just because I read these things doesn't mean that I don't have feelings about them. I do too. I feel frustration, and I feel all those kinds of things. But we also have to understand, this is not just the justice phase. This is the Justice Department. And with all these people, look at all these people. These were big time people. All of them were not only not working with President Trump, they were working to remove him. Okay, and how are we going to get prosecutions when we can't get these guys on board? Okay, and the fact of the matter is we're going to have to make some deals. I think there's going to be some black hats that probably just end up getting away in this case. But the swamp is being drained. Q is saying to trust the plan, and again says justice. And of course, they're talking about the Department of Justice. Let's move on. Now, incidentally, I wanted to point your attention to the fact that this picture, and this picture were all called Justice. All right. Now we go to this one here, which labels John Kerry a traitor. Wow. How about that? I'll blow it up for you right here. Confirmed. This was a post from back in, looks like January 25th, 2018. I'm not sure what the post number is there. Anyway, we have a link to Fox. And this is talking about Kerry reportedly coaches Palestinians not to yield to Trump in peace talks, spurring backlash. Yeah, well, you're not supposed to do that. Why did Hussein travel ahead of POTUS? Yeah, he did it, didn't he? He went to Vietnam ahead. He went really all throughout Asia, ahead of and after President Trump. Trump would not be in office for long, suggesting he could be out in a year. Well, how would you know that? How would you know he's going to be out in a year? Were you planning to take him out in a year? What were you going to do within a year? Remember, they never thought that she was going to lose. And I guess their only contingency plan would be either to impeach him or maybe, God forbid, kill him. Q says Riri drops. Today, John Kerry and Iran. Important context for future news. Why is Hussein/John Kerry traveling worldwide and meeting with foreign heads of state, some enemies of the U.S.? Well, we kind of get an idea that they've been doing that since the beginning of this presidency. They've been kind of, how should I say, it's sort of this he said, she said thing. All these deep state cats, which are wrapped up all around, they're worldwide, okay? They're all meeting, and Trump's meeting either after them or before them, knowing that he's got to handle business and rework trade deals and rework the Iran deal, rework all these different deals. And in particular, John Kerry just ended up in Iran. And let me take you over there. Where are we here? There we are. This is off the Washington Examiner, May 4th. John Kerry Iran deal report sparks chatter about potential Logan Act violation. A report Friday detailing how former Secretary of State John Kerry has spoken with foreign leaders about salvaging the Iran nuclear deal has stirred talk about a violation of the Logan Act. Representative Devin Nunes, out of California, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, tweeted in response to the Boston Globe report, "OMG, Logan Act violations, send in the G-men." Meanwhile, Tom Fitton, who heads the conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch, said, "Kerry making quiet play to save Iran deal with foreign leaders report. I'm waiting for the left to scream treason and for Sally Yates to invoke the Logan Act and demand a criminal investigation." Okay. So John Kerry was in Iran. Why was John Kerry in Iran? He's like the head of the, what is he? He's not the head of anything. That's the problem, right? He's not the head of anything. He shouldn't be in Iran. That's a violation of the Logan Act. And I want to show you the Logan Act. This is it right here. Then I'll leave this for you below as well. Not going to read the whole thing, but I really want to turn your attention mostly to, I believe this is page 4. Forgive all the scrolling today, guys. Lots of documents. Okay, this should sum it up. Citizens of the United States are forbidden to carry on correspondence or intercourse with any foreign government with an intent to influence its measures or conduct in relation to any disputes or controversies within the United States. The act under scrutiny in this case represents the converse of the last mentioned statute, which is talking about this case up here. The former deals with citizens of the United States who attempt to conduct correspondence with foreign governments. The latter affects agents of foreign principals who carry on certain specified activities in the United States. Both matters are equally within the field of external affairs of this country and therefore within the inherent regulatory powers of the Congress. Okay, well, essentially it means you're not supposed to be conducting any political business when you're not a political guy. So why are they doing it? Because they know that come May 12th, this Iran deal is most likely not going to go through. Okay, and keep in mind with this Iran deal, President Trump can't just axe the whole thing. It's kind of has to deal with sanctions, and the sanctions are going to end up on the Iran National Bank. And if you've been following my videos, we talked a couple weeks ago about all these transactions that were coming through the EU. Remember, we were talking about Five Eyes and all these transactions that were going through the EU into the Iran National Bank, and they were being stripped. All the transactions were being stripped of their, how should I say, your ability to track them. They were basically stripping all the transaction codes so that you couldn't follow that they were coming from the EU. Now we've got Macron and Merkel. They come to try and beg President Trump to hang into this deal, and it's probably not going to happen. Well, we're going to know on we're going to know on the 12th of May. And that'll be the deadline. Most likely what's going to happen is going to be some sort of sanctions or the imposing or the reimposing of sanctions that have been temporarily lifted. And that's going to probably cripple this deal. And if it cripples the deal, Iran has already spoken out. And you know what they're threatening with that. And of course, the deep state is in a massive panic because this is their major paycheck. And it looks to me that we know it. Okay? And of course, President Trump is perfectly happy to let Benjamin Netanyahu make his little slideshow about Iran. It's all playing into this grand scheme, if you will. Now, I'm hoping that's what the case is, but it's looking to be the case, okay? Former President, Secretary of State's out of power authority racing around the world pre-post POTUS. Why? Well, that's, like I just said, it's a violation of the Logan Act, but we know why. They got to shore up these deals. Now, I don't exactly know what the deals are, but they're either making their plans for what happens if this happens or whatever. Like I said, it's he said, she said. Okay, if President Trump shows up, they want to show up right after. What did he say? What's going on? They're all trying to get the plans. They're panicking. The world is connected. The world is watching. Well, is this unprecedented? I don't know if it's unprecedented. I think on this scale, it's clearly unprecedented, but it's definitely scary, isn't it? The world is connected. The world is watching. Q. Those are your Q posts for today. I hope that was helpful. Lots of stuff to chew on, and I'm definitely still doing my research as well, but hopefully that'll at least get you started. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. If you are subscribed and you're not getting notified, please understand, don't be shocked. That's what YouTube is doing to you. YouTube does not want you to hear this information. They sure don't want you to share it. My videos are cut in half just about every single time, and so please do me a favor and be a good patriot and just click that bell and share this every way that you can. It really helps people kind of understand what Q is and start getting onto this narrative. But please don't be surprised. That just know that you're being unsubbed and you're being unclicked, and it's something that if you don't hear from me, within usually about 48 hours, yeah, just go ahead and come on back, because I'll probably be posting something. So there you are. Thank you so much for listening and watching and hanging with me. And if you've got any comments or suggestions, please leave them. Please be respectful down below. And until next time, this is Sir Patrick Mack with In Pursuit of Truth. Stay hungry for that good old info.